From Mel Brooks' book, All About Me. I have a message for those readers who are setting out to make a career for themselves as writers or comedians. I call it an ode to failure. Before achieving success in your career, I failed on a large scale and small ones. During my time in the Catskills, some jokes worked and some didn't. As a result, you didn't just not do those jokes again. You learned what the audience expects, what they want, and then you have to learn an even bigger lesson. Don't give them what they expect. Give them what they don't know and what they don't expect, and maybe you'll get an even bigger explosion of laughter. Failure is vital. It is an incredibly important quotient in the equation of a career. After you wipe away your tears, it's not a bad experience, and under the right circumstances, it will make you better, both as a person and as an artist. I think it's important to fail, especially between the ages of 20 and 30. Success is like sugar. It's too good, it's too sweet, it's too wonderful, and it burns up very quickly. Failure is like corned beef hash. It takes a while to eat, it takes a while to digest, but it stays with you. Failure may not feel good when it happens, but it will always sharpen your mind. You'll always ask yourself, where did I go wrong? Why didn't this joke or this sketch work? And there will always be reasons. You can't just say, well, it's not funny. You have to ask yourself, why is it not funny? My son Max, who wrote the Zombie Survival Guide and World War Z, gave the graduation speech at the Pulitzer Prize College in Claremont, California, where he went for his undergraduate degree. To the graduating class, he said, go forth and fail. He was absolutely on target because nothing helps you succeed like failure.
I love that. That's
Me
great.
too.
Yeah, that's that's so good because it relieves all the pressure. A lot of the times people are thinking, oh, we got to be perfect, or they want the perfect take, or
Yeah.
they want to drop a line or mix up a line or stumble or stutter or any of those things. But yeah, that relieves all the pressure. Back to James Wedmore, one of his things that he often says is there's no losing. It's not like you win or lose in any area of life. He often says you either win or you learn. So in every quote unquote loss, it's not really a loss, it's a gain, because what you either get the result you were intending for and the result you were wanting, or you get the lesson that you needed to learn to then inform you to make changes and adjustments to then get the outcome that you desired. So it's like when you think that way, it relieves all the pressure. And think about how great it is to be like, oh, I'm going to see how much I can fail today. Let's see how much you can fuck up. There's a fun video going around. It was Willem Dafoe, and he talks an idea he toys with is, how can I fuck this up? Like, I'm just going to go into this, whether you're a musician or an artist. Like, an artist might just whip shit at the canvas and mess it all up. An actor might do the same. A singer might do it. So just like release all the shackles of having, oh, I got to fit this in a perfect box and everything's got to be beat perfect and word perfect, to let's just fuck it all up. And there's a lot of fun and joy that comes in that. But then you always know that it's not, you're not going to lose, you get a lesson. So that's been a huge game changer for me through James Wedmore's business program. Is don't see it as a loss. Like, say you're doing some promotion and not as many people show up, or not as many people enroll, or whatever it might be. It's like, that's not a loss. It's just a lesson that you learn, and then you correct, and then you course correct, and then you do it again next time. And hopefully you get closer to your desired outcome or result. But no matter what, it is a win because you get the lesson. So I think there's a game-changing perspective for sports, for business, for life. Yeah, I've heard I forget who it was, but it was on a podcast I was listening. There was a father who, what he would say to his kids every day when they would come home from school, they had this ritual around the dinner table.
Yeah.
And they would say, how did you fail today? Tell me what and it was this really fun thing. So it's like,
I think that was Bo Eason's dad.
yeah, it might have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
I forget. But I think it's such a good perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of setting up your kids with this expectation that they have to be A+ students at everything and they're going to be afraid to try things because they don't want to fail, it's like, what did you fail today at? And then so the kids will just go to this attitude um, of having the courage and being bold enough to do new things without the expectation of having to be perfect. And they would come around
Hmm.
the dinner table and be like, oh, I put my hand up and went to the front of the class and gave my speech and I totally botched it and everybody laughed and it was a really funny moment. Or I was walking up the stairs and I tripped over my shoelaces and I tripped and fell and it was this big embarrassing moment, but it was really fun. Like that versus being mortified over the failure, like, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? Like,
Hmm.
and it also goes along the lines of what other people think about you really isn't any of your business. It's like, let people think what they're going to think, you know. But I love it. I love that Mel Brooks quote for, especially for comedians. It's like you're just getting feedback. So like,
Hmm.
did you bomb or did you learn some lessons and get some feedback then's going to inform you next time? And you really got to go into it with, of course, as a comedian, your desired outcome is the reason that you're there is to make people laugh. So it is kind of the worst feeling in the world, bombing as a comedian, because it's like the one thing that you're attempting to do is not it's not what's happening.
Hmm.
So it is a terrible feeling, which creates a lot of the anxiety of people saying like, oh my God, I don't know how you do stand up. I could never do that. Or the fear of public speaking and the fear of performance and performance anxiety and stage fright that people have. But then when you release that as, you know what, this is failure is good. I'm learning. I'm getting some feedback. Also, when you realize real quickly, it's like when they don't laugh, you don't die. So it's like what really happened. You
Hmm.
went to like you went with the intention of making someone happy and you didn't make them as happy as you thought you would make them and nobody died. So it's really not as big a deal as it is. What else you want to add to that?
Yeah. Well, there's a Michael Shurtleff quote that's coming to mind. Consistency is the death of great acting, and like each time it's always different. It's never the same twice, and
Right.
so you have to be able to adapt. And like consistency doesn't help all the time. Like if you're just consistently getting laughs, it sometimes doesn't tell you anything. But when you don't get those laughs at one point or another, that informs you as to maybe I can do this a little bit better. Maybe I can attempt to do something else with this so that it works for all different sorts of people.
Right.
And like especially in theater, there's a lot of like, oh well, that audience was terrible. Like
Right. Yeah,
what
it's such
was
a
it?
cop out. I hate that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
what
a
was
common
it,
thing in
that, or was it
comedians
like,
too.
were you just maybe a little bit off today? Like
Yeah. I mean, sometimes
sometimes,
certain
yeah,
audience,
sometimes you're not,
I
but
just don't
like
think it's not helpful to just be like, "Oh, the audience sucked." Like, it doesn't really help you. Like, if you're just gonna cop out with that. Like, I've definitely been in some situations where the audience was a little weird, or maybe the setup of the whole event,
mm-hmm,
or even certain things about like there's something to say about how the room is set up, where are the seats, is there a stage, is the sound good, is there lights on like all of that affects the show too. So you can sometimes walk into a show and between the event and how it's timed and who the people are and how the stage and everything is set up, I've walked in to be like, ooh, this is going to be a struggle from the get-go. But you don't want to blame it on that because then you don't
no,
really learn anything. You want to like, what could I have done better to make that a more optimal situation?
yeah,
Facebook user, probably Adam Daniel Mazet, says nerves are just talent struggling to get out. And I think one thing that I've heard about that is it's the exact same physiological reaction of nervous anxiety and excitement. It's actually really the same feelings, the
mm-hmm,
butterflies and everything. So it's a lot of those nerves aren't the nerves themselves, it's our interpretation of them, of what we're labeling them. So if you're walking up and you're like, oh my God, I'm breathing a little faster. My heartbeat is breathing a little faster. I got butterflies. I got some thoughts running through my head. Oh, I'm nervous. Versus the interpretation of I'm I'm having those feelings, but that's because I'm excited. That's because I'm chomping at the bit, like that sports, almost like sports.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, put me in,
Sports,
coach.
yeah, sports enthusiasm. Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit,
Hmm.
and a ton of that is your the. I think the main difference is just your self talk about it. Like, how do you interpret that, and what do you say? Oh my God, I'm getting nervous. Oh no, are they going to like me? Is this going to go well? Am I going to fuck up? Am I going to remember my lines? What if I didn't prepare enough? What if they don't like me? What if they hate me? And then you're spiraling out of control versus, hey, this is my body's natural reaction to something that is exciting, something that I love, and this is where I want to be. So yeah, of course my heart is beating a little faster. All of those things are also proof that you're alive too. So if
Hmm.
you felt nothing, that means you're dead inside. So if you're just walking out on stage, it's like you don't want to feel. The flip side to that is you don't want to feel nothing. It's like you want to feel some of these nerves, and you obviously got to control them.